Hi, everybody. I am backstage, and they just opened the doors at the stadium in Dusseldorf for the Chromatica Ball, which is opening tonight. I have not been on stage since 2019 on a tour. Actually, no, it wasn't 2019. It was 2018. This stage, like, you can see how nervous I am. This stage was inspired by brutalist architecture, materials, textures, crudity, transparency, a real savage and hard look at yourself, what you've been through. I wanted to tell a story, but with abstractions and art. So the show celebrates things that I have always loved, like art and fashion and dance and music and technology, poetry, and the way all of those things work together. Everybody has worked so hard on this show, and we love you so much. We're so grateful. I'm so excited. I'm also really thoughtful and really grateful. I want to allow you all to interpret this show in the way that you want to, but I will say that it really documents like the many different stages and sides of grief and the manic energy of grief that I feel like I've experienced in my life. And I want to really thank you for sticking it out with me and loving me through all the different iterations of my artistry, as well as me as a person. I feel more clear today than I have in a long time, and more pain-free than I have in ages. And being free of pain on stage is a real healing experience, because I'm able to dance and sing and enjoy the audience, enjoy the show, and really tell a story. So I just want to thank you. I'm going to thank you in another way, and it's through this. It's through this performance, and it will be through every performance. I don't know that I've been as speechless as I am today, knowing what we're about to do. But if, people ask me all the time what Chromatica was about, and in Babylon I say battle for your life. And when I made Chromatica, I was really battling for my life. And for anybody that is in a tough spot, I just want you to know that this show was created in the spirit of that battle, to win yourself back. There's no greater prize than you. There's no thing more important than your own heart and your own ability to heal. And we don't heal on our own, I don't think. But I think it's possible to, at some point, have your own back. And having your own back takes a lot of strength and time. But the doors are open. I hope you're all out there having fun. And I hope you love this thing that we made for you. And just to be clear, we called it the Chromatica Ball. Not the Chromatica Tour, the ball. So I'll see you on the dance floor.
Welcome, little monsters, to another episode of the Incredidrome Podcast. I'm Zach Ray, and you'll have to excuse me as I am currently in recovery mode. I had slightly lost my voice for a little bit. It's still kind of like scratchy and whatnot. Some would say that, that could be very attractive, oh, your voice is very gravelly and things, and delicioso, right? But it's not something that I'm doing cosmetically. My throat does hurt a little bit from spending 2.5 hours of screaming at the top of my lungs and essentially having the time of my life. Lady Gaga's somebody that really means a lot to me. And I know, that a lot of people would say, that, a lot of religious people, I guess, would say that you shouldn't hold public figures to like high regard, and, because it's kind of like considered worshiping them and things. But I don't necessarily view respecting somebody as incredible as Lady Gaga, someone who wields such a powerful message in everything that she does. She's very much somebody who lives and breathes her art, and her ability to just really bring a collective consciousness together. And that consciousness, to me, and the way I interpret it, is pretty simple, actually, if you really think about it. It's love, it's acceptance, it's togetherness, it's her own way of being able to bring a large number of people. And in my case, going to see the Chromatica Ball last night at Wrigley Field here in Chicago, there was 45,000 of us. Think about this. 45,000 people all together in a shared space. And she actually made a point to kind of reference this, when she was just kind of, calming down. She was sitting at the piano. She sang Shallow. She sang I'll Always Remember Us This Way. And she was just like, look, I understand that in a lot of our beliefs, we're very divided. And she's like, I'm not here to further divide you, but instead want to, create an experience where we can all come together in unity and just celebrate life, celebrate each other, celebrate this communal experience that we're having, and to just have fun. And at the end of the day, that's really what happened. And I think it's really, really powerful to be able to be somebody like a Lady Gaga who really stands firm in her belief and ability to bring people together. And I just think that that's something that's missing from a lot of these artists and people that, kind of travel the world and, try to preach a message to people, And I really respect that about her. I really respect about her that, her message isn't to try to make you believe in one way or another. Her message is to just inspire you to just be your best self, to express your creativity, your individuality in any way that truly benefits you in your way of exercising that. And I really liked how in that video that I played at the beginning, and how she described the intention of creating the Chromatica Ball, that it was really, it's a savage, hard look at yourself and what you've been through. And I really felt that, you know, because a lot of the imagery that she was showing, like with the, you know, the pre-show intro, and the interludes and so on, and it really is kind of like brutalist, savage imagery, and really kind of brings home, or brought home for me, that the way that an artist can utilize art and technology to influence their poetry, it's a really, really incredible thing. And it's truly inspiring. You know, I'm somebody who, you know, in my personal life, like, you know, if you're watching this video, you're seeing me in a certain way, right? But I'm somebody who has experienced a lot of grief in my life, right? And with grief, we kind of internalize and express that in many different ways. And she sort of talked about how, you know, her area of grief is more expressive in manic energy, and you know, kind of how she brought herself through it. She also kind of talked about during the show, while she was singing, that, you know, I forgot what song it was. I think it was 1,000 Doves. When she wrote 1,000 Doves, you know, that she was sitting at a piano and she was, you know, smoking a shit ton of cigarettes, and, you know, she was really going through something, and that pain literally influenced an incredible song. You know, whatever she was going through, she took that and utilized that manic energy, that manic stage of grief, to be able to grab hold of it with her artistry and express what it is that she was feeling deep down. And I really feel that it's a great way for her to create a healing experience for herself. And I really appreciate the fact that, you know, she's not saying that there's one way for you to be able to create that healing experience for you. There's not one way for me to create a healing experience for me. She's just putting on this show and giving you the message like, hey, this is how I express myself. This is how I bring myself to a much more healing state of mind. It's being on stage, it's being with you all, it's creating this collective consciousness, this collective organism, this experience where we're all coming together and we're literally just fucking having a party, you know, just escaping. It's the truest, most honest level of escapism that I could ever possibly think to experience. And she also made mention of the fact that, you know, in talking about that, there's 45,000 people. There were 45,000 people there in that moment, and she's like, I don't just hear you. She's like, I feel you, and what I feel is love. And I think that people can interpret that as, you know, maybe kind of like, you know, it's a pandering thing that you can say to your crowd when you're giving a show, right? And I guess I can understand how you can, you know, interpret that and feel that way, but I really feel like if you are somebody who has followed her from the beginning, and I mean from the beginning, when she used to perform at the bitter end in New York, in the, you know, the Lower East Side. I mean, if you followed her journey, it's inspiring. it really is inspiring, and I really, really look up to her in a way that I don't want to say that she could never understand, because I think that she's probably at a place now in her life and her career where she does understand the type of impact that she can have on people. But it's just, I mean, there are so many words. Like, there are so many words. And also, here's another thing that I really kind of wanted to bring home, to kind of, close my thought on her message at the beginning of this, is that she said something really important. She said that there's no greater prize than you through the battle of life. And that is a powerful, absolutely powerful fucking statement. There's no greater prize than you through the battle of life. Sure, the people around you matter, the experience that you go through with other people, everything matters. But at the end of it, you are the ultimate prize at the end of that battle. You're the one you're at the beginning of it. You're the one deep in the trenches of it. And at the end of it, you are the one that comes out on top and conquers that battle. And having your own back, as she said, takes a lot of strength and time, because nothing is easy. Nothing comes to us quickly. When we're in our darkest moments, a lot of what we think about is, man, I really wish that, all this can end and all this would just be over. And I really have come to the realization that, as somebody who's come out of, obviously many dark moments in their life, I really look back on a lot of that with a sense of pride, and with a real strong sense of strength and encouragement. And I really, really, I don't know. Sometimes you just have to pat yourself on the back, You just really have to pat yourself on the back and just really congratulate yourself, and propel yourself forward, to find the good in the bad. And essentially, to me, that's the message of the show. She said that she wanted us all to interpret, the show in our own way. And, well, that's my interpretation. So, all right. I'm getting off of my pedestal. So, I remember I made a really intentional effort to not watch other performances of the Chromatica Ball that she was doing prior to the show that I went to last night, because I really, really, really wanted to savor the experience. This was actually the first Lady Gaga concert that I've ever been to. I remember back when she came to Chicago the first time, during the Fame era. And she came to the House of Blues, and I remember her tickets being $10. $10 fucking dollars. Just think of this. $10 to go and see Lady Gaga and practically be able to reach out and touch her. It's amazing. It's amazing to kind of look back at the trajectory that she's had, from beginning to present. I wasn't able to go to that show for whatever reason. I don't really remember. I think it was like work or something, because I used to work at the airport here in Chicago. I used to work, for the airline industry for like about 7 years, and I pretty much dominated my entire life. My whole 20s was literally taken over by my work life. And that, propelled me into like a more, corporate career that a few years ago I decided to change direction because I didn't really feel fulfilled. When I was really finding myself working as hard as I was and really trying to do what I thought you were supposed to do as a human being, like I really thought that, because what you're taught when you're younger is that, you're supposed to, you work hard, like you rough it out and, you do these things. And even though you don't want to do them, you have to do them because this is what life is. Like life is just, it's you busting your ass and, putting up with, shitty bosses that, want you to do things that you don't want to do and things like that. And it's real trendy now, for kind of like the older generation to kind of look back or to look down upon, people like me of my generation, that like, we just don't want to work as hard, back in the day, people used to really, really rough these things out. And my opinion on that is just kind of like, well, yes, of course. But the thing that you have to realize is that you being in that older generation, your sacrifice and your hardship and your determination to rough all of those experiences out really makes it, or really made it, for my generation to be able to stand up and fight for what's right and to dismantle this concept that, in order to make a living, in order to provide for your family, that you have to, put up with these innately dehumanizing experiences, in order to make a dollar. And, and that's not right. And I think that, just because you're somebody who experienced that, and now as we're moving into other different generations, it's not that, people of my generation are lazy. And granted, there are some lazy people out there. Trust me, I know. But speaking from my experience, I could also say that I'm somebody who really roughed it out and really got to a point where I was making a lot of money at a very young age and held a really, really high position of authority in corporate America. And once I got to that point, people of an older generation might be like, well, you made it, and when you get to a position like that, it's all about doing things that you don't want. And it's all about, giving yourself to this sort of harmful entity. And I just really kind of came to terms within myself. I'm like, what do I want to do? I'm somebody who, in order to put myself in, that sort of high position, I had to sacrifice a lot of things. I had to sacrifice film school. I was going to film school full time and working full time together. And I was, incredibly run down and in my own manic state of anxiety and sleeplessness and depression. And it really kind of hit a point where it was like I was being torn. I was put in a point where I literally had to decide one direction or the other. And I, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on, how I want to look back on my experience, I decided the money route. I decided to pursue chasing the bag, as people say, nowadays. It's like, it's all about chasing the bag, right? And to an extent, yeah, it is. We all have to, make a living. We all have families that we need to take care of, and we all have our own selves, that we need to take care of in this life. And unfortunately, I after a few more years after having to make that decision of quitting film school, and kind of like putting that dream on the back burner, to pursue, a higher level of working experience. It was a sacrifice that I chose to make. So when I kind of look back on that, after recognizing that it really took me down a further dark path, it was starting to get to a point where, my boss was really kind of, expecting me to do a lot of unethical things, in order to propel the success of the company that I was working for. And he really kind of tried to bring home to me that, listen, a lot of things that you will find in this line of work, or at this level, is that you have to do a lot of things, including stepping on other people, including doing things that you might not necessarily feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, when you put yourself through these things and you conquer these things, it will bring you success. And I really spent a long time after having that conversation with him thinking about, well, sure, we all dream about discovering our own level of success, right? And I had to decide if I wanted my version of success to be continuing this path of holding a corporate position and, bringing people down and stepping on other people, stealing other people's ideas, and kind of molding them with my own to create something better to further the company. Because everything was to further his company. Everything was to draw more money and influence to his pocket, right? But at what cost, And I was coming to the realization that the cost was my humanity. The cost was, the sleepless nights that I had. I was in a position where I was on call 24/7. I would, I never got any fucking sleep because I would work 12 hours a day. And then I would go home and still constantly be on call, receiving calls from, employees, from, we had like an overnight service or whatever that used to handle situations. But their version of handling situations was to call me to figure things out. And, I would get, phone calls at like midnight. Then I would sleep for like 20 more minutes and get another call. And then I would get another call at 1:30 in the morning, then 2 in the morning, then 4 in the morning. And then, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting another call. And then 5:30, my alarm is going off and I have to get up and get ready to go into the office. And this was something that I dealt with for years, actually. I'm literally not exaggerating. Like, I know that, some people can be like, oh, whatever, because it's just like, it's easy to kind of like sit on the sideline and kind of form an opinion and whatnot about someone else's experience. But the truth of the matter is that going through all of that was really breaking me down and really kind of bringing me to a state of insanity, I guess. And again, in listening to her message, through all these years, I really got to a point where I had to decide what I wanted my version of success to be. Do I want to find success through greed? Or did I want to find success through happiness? And I decided happiness. I decided that I needed to pursue my hopes and dreams in my way, because the only way, I believe now, having thought back on all of it, the only way that I believe to truly find success within yourself is to pursue a passion, to pursue something that doesn't feel like work to you, but obviously is still work, because it takes a lot of time and effort, to pursue just what makes you whole, what brings you that excitement to wake up in the morning, what makes you excited to live and breathe through every single day. I think that all of us in the world should really take a hard look at that, and face those things head on. Not all of us, can find the level of success, that Lady Gaga has in her career, but that's not the point. The point is not to exact someone else's experience. The point is to create an experience for yourself that benefits you in the way that works for you. And I feel like she's somebody who, she's not encouraging you to be her. She's not encouraging you to worship her. She's encouraging you to just be your truest self, live your most authentic self, celebrate, be happy, move through life doing the things that you love instead of, living the things that you hate. And then you get to, like your 40s, your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and then you look back on your life and then you regret all the things that you didn't do because you were chasing someone else's dream instead of your own. That's the message. That's how I interpret the message of the Chromatica Ball. Essentially, yeah. Anyway. I'm going to get off of my emotional soapbox, and I want to go through the set list. I have the set list for the Chromatica Ball in the top corner. So, the visual style of the opening intro was, if you're somebody who follows Lady Gaga, you understand that, like, she's very much somebody who's always trying to push her own boundary of creativity. And I really appreciate the way that she kind of put this whole piece, this whole, concert experience together in the way that she did in the different, there's a prelude, there's 4 acts, then there's the finale, and then there's an encore. It's really a very theatrical experience. She had her opening film, and actually, I do want to say, with this video, you can also, I'll have 2 videos put up. There's this video that's going up, or, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, on my YouTube channel, I will have 2 videos put up together. There'll be this one, and then I recorded some of the concert. I have like my own highlights and stuff like that of different performances and whatnot. So I'm putting those up together. I didn't want to play it here because this is kind of like more of me, being conversational and really kind of like me working through my thoughts and stuff. And I kind of felt like, playing performances and things is kind of distracting. So, if you're interested in just sitting and listening to somebody, just ramble, for an hour, then this is the right video for you, or this is the right podcast for you. But the way that she incorporated the introduction with Bad Romance, Just Dance, and Poker Face was great. It was truly incredible and seamlessly. That's the other thing too that I just really appreciate now in retrospect, is that there just felt like such a seamless transition from act to act, from song to song. Like, it was just one flowing story. And I just really appreciate artists that really kind of take their concert experiences seriously. Like, I mean, it's fun, to go to a concert and just, listen to a band or listen to somebody just, sing their greatest hits. They come around every couple years, and all they do is they sing their greatest hits. And, after the show, you walk by and you're just kind of like, well, I kind of wish they sang this song or that song or whatever. For me, it's not about that. I don't really go to concerts much because it's just a lot of that. It's just a lot of, just somebody standing on stage singing their greatest hits. And to me, I'm just like, well, I'm totally fine, just listening to, the album, in my car, loud as fuck, driving to wherever it is I gotta go that day, like, that's fine to me. I don't necessarily need to be at a concert to experience that. But when you have somebody like Lady Gaga who takes the concert experience so seriously and is treating it more as a theatrical experience, creating a beginning, middle, and end for you, that's something that brings me out. And as I had said, this was the first time that I was able to go to a Lady Gaga concert. I remember I had tickets before to go to the Born This Way ball, when the Born This Way ball was happening, and she was coming to Chicago. I think she was coming to the United Center. And I remember literally a week before her Chicago performance is when she broke her hip and pretty much was out of commission for a while. Now, thankfully, she came out of that. But I remember taking that like really hard for some reason. I was just like, I just felt like this incredible sense of disappointment and sadness. And, of course, as a fan, you just want her to just get better and to be better and still be here, to be able to continue to create these experiences for us. But, at that time, I just remembered going so long not being able to see her, and then I finally was going to go to the Born This Way ball, and then that happened. We didn't get to go. I was going to go, with one of my other friends at the time, who's also like a huge Lady Gaga fan. We both kind of like discovered her together. But yeah, we didn't go. We ended up getting a refund. There was no like, other dates set up. Like, it was just like, it was done. Like, you were just getting a refund. It wasn't like this experience, with the Chromatica Ball. I've been holding on, or we, the people that went to this concert, like, we've been holding on to these tickets for 2 years at this point. Like, I legitimately, we had the option, obviously, to, get a refund or whatever, but I was just like, well, I already spent the money. Like, there's no point in me getting a refund and then rebuying, the tickets in another year, because it's like, I know that I still want to go. So I was just like, I'm not getting a fucking refund. I bought 2 tickets, one for me and, one of my friends. So when we came around to this concert, the person that I was supposed to take with me, we're not necessarily, friends anymore. Which is a pain within itself, because it was somebody that I really wanted to share this experience with, but it didn't end up working out, which is fine. So I decided to take my mother, and I think that kind of, now thinking about it, means more to me. Because in Gaga's message and, preaching love and acceptance and unity, I think it was more powerful for me on the inside, to have shared this experience with my mother and nobody else, because I'm somebody who, as an LGBT person, I'm somebody who, in my youth and in my self-discovery, I put my mother through a lot. I put my mother through a lot growing up, because I was dealing with a lot of my own traumas that were, occurring, and, she saw me through a lot of it. We haven't always had the best relationship, but I really feel like, in some way, us being able to have this experience together last night, probably brought us a little more closer, and her just having the experience with me, the experience of getting ready to go, the experience of getting there, the experience of parking, hopping on the shuttle, entering the ballpark, and, finding our seat and sitting down and just having this moment of, listening to somebody who's preaching love and acceptance to you, and togetherness, and creating all these, these insane stylistic visuals, and then closing out the show with, I'm gonna get emotional. And closing out the show, she closed out the show with her encore for the song "Hold My Hand" that she did for the Top Gun Maverick movie that just came out this summer. I'm literally gonna cry. We were literally sitting there listening, to her sing "Hold My Hand," and "Hold My Hand," the lyrics in that song are so fucking powerful. And I just remember, like, she was singing, and then me and my mom looked at each other, and, we put our arms around each other, and, we felt that moment. We literally felt that moment. And in that moment is when I realized that this is the purpose. Like, this is the reason. This is what she's talking about. This is the message. Oh my God. Everything that she had said in her message this entire show was all encapsulated for me in that moment, in her encore. And it was such a perfect way to end this fucking concert. It was literally such a perfect way, for us to just sit there, again, in that moment. It was just like my past was, all kind of like cycling through my mind, kind of like super crazy, and it was like a movie just flashing, and and it just hearing that song, and then looking at my mom, and like, we're hugging each other, and it just really kind of made all of it worth it, I guess. It's probably, silly to say, but I mean, it just really speaks to me. It really spoke to me, and it really shows the power of Lady Gaga's message. I'm rambling at this point. I'm so sorry. Ugh. Anyway, sorry, I had a moment. I literally skipped all the way ahead to the end. I was supposed to be going through the set list, damn it. Anyway, so just to go through the set list, I remember reading a lot of things on Reddit and stuff on how people were kind of complaining that the show was like super short. People were talking about how the show was only like an hour and a half or something like that. So I remember kind of going in like, it's probably going to be a short show, whatever. And it ended up being like 2.5 hours. So I was like, I don't know if maybe she like increased the set list or anything. But I mean, we got our money's worth. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, so yeah, we opening film, Bad Romance, Just Dance, Poker Face, incredible. Obviously, it's bringing the nostalgia in, right? To transition into Act 1, which actually kind of surprised me. Not with Alice in Replay, because obviously, you know, those are songs from Chromatica, but the fact that she freaking played Monster, that was something that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't necessarily expecting, like, more, like, deep cut, you know, kind of like, you know, Fame Monster era songs. Like, obviously, you know, the staples that you expect her to perform are, you know, like Bad Romance, Just Dance, Poker Face, you know, Telephone, you know, like Love Game, you know, like those are things that you kind of expect. But Monster is kind of something that, you know, it's like not everybody knows about that song. Like, you kind of know about it, you know, if you have like the whole Fame Monster collection. So I was very surprised by that. I think I got I did record a little bit of Monster. Yeah, I see. That's the other thing. Like, I didn't want. That's the other thing too. That it was kind of like running through my mind, like as the concert was happening, as I was recording. I remember Gaga always kind of like made jokes in the past about, you know, like, you know, put your fucking phones away. Like, you know, when you're just sitting there, you know, like just recording, right? Like you're sitting there at the concert and you're having the experience through your phone instead of kind of like living through it. So when I was recording, I made it a point to kind of like be able to hold it at a certain way, but I was watching. Like, I'm just holding it and I'm just watching, you know? So like some of the angles are like shaky or like, you know, move off to the side and shit, because it's like I'm not sitting here like this, you know? It's like I'm trying to like hold it and watch. So I'm actually, I haven't put it all together yet. Like, obviously if you're listening to this or you're watching this, by this time, like I would have cut it all together. But at this point I haven't done that. So I'd be excited to see how it comes out, you know, to put it all together. But anyway, so we moved there from Act 1 to Act 2 with an incredible this interlude was so beautiful. I remember recording a video of the flower interlude, and it doesn't capture well on my phone, but seeing it in person was so beautiful. And the funny thing is, it's like, it's something so simple. It's just showcasing a bunch of blooming flowers and just kind of like this weird artistic way of just transitioning like from screen to screen, because she had like, is it 1, 2, 3, 4? There's 5 big screens, right? She created like this weird like hallway. It was kind of like, think of like a hallway of mirrors that she opens the show with, and it's just like these weird 3 screens that kind of surround her. It was just a really nice optical illusion that she created with the set imagery, and it was just beautiful. That's literally, that's all I could say. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, it was fucking beautiful. Like, you had to be there to see it, dang it. So with, you know, after the flower interlude, you know, she goes through 911 and Sour Candy. I remember hearing this dude behind me was kind of complaining that he didn't like the fact that, you know, they kind of like, they like breezed over the Blackpink portion of Sour Candy, which is like, I mean, I get it, I guess, you know, but it didn't feel as noticeable to me. You know, I'm not somebody who actively listens to Blackpink. Like, I don't have any issue with Blackpink, but I don't actively listen to their music. But I do really like that song, and I do love their collaboration with Gaga on that song. Like, they sound incredible. But I can understand, you know, for people, like, if you're like a big fan of Blackpink, like, you know, that's a portion of the song that you're really looking forward to, you know. So I understood where he was coming from. Telephone, you know, it was a very shortened version. If I remember correctly, the Beyonce portion was cut out. Which, if you're a part of the Beehive, you know, that could have been something where you're just like, she cut out Beyonce, but when she did Rain on Me, she kept in Ariana Grande. And it's just like, you know, let's pick and choose our battles, okay? Like, you know, it wasn't, like, it was noticeable, but it didn't lessen the experience for me, if that makes any sense. Love Game, obviously, every time I hear her play Love Game, you know, it's just like, it's incredible. Love Game is a phenomenal song. Love Game was the first Gaga song I think I had ever heard. And this goes back to like MySpace days. Like if you're somebody who's around my age, like I'm 31. So if you're somebody that's around my age, you had a MySpace. And I remember listening to Love Game probably a year before it became like a thing on the radio. And I fucking loved it. But I remember hearing it and not knowing who the artist was. It was just like a song, you know, because if you remember back in the MySpace days, you know, you had your profile that, you know, we were able to design and stuff like that. You know, back when we were all smart and like knew how to code our websites and shit. Love Game, I remember finding it, listening to it and being like, fuck, this is like a great profile song. So I had it, you know, as the song on my profile, but it said Love Game, and then it had like, you know, the artist didn't say Lady Gaga, like it was like some other shit. So I didn't know her, I just knew that song. And then like a year later, you know, then it's like, you know, Lady Gaga, you know, Love Game, and like, you know, the craze began. And I was like, holy shit, like she sings that song? Like I remember listening to the song like a year ago and having it on my fucking MySpace and shit. You know, so that was my introduction to Lady Gaga, me not even knowing her name. So from there, we go into Act 3, The Birth of Freedom, interlude, again, incredibly beautiful. The visual style, the artistic nature, it was like very Grecian. It was like there was a lot of golds and yellows and oh my god, I just can't express enough how like each act of the show, it's like her performance and like their outfits and things like that, like everything reflects what the act is about. So, you know, the third act with Babylon, Free Woman, and Born This Way, you know, it was very, again, like it was a lot of golds, a lot of yellows, there was a lot of fire happening, like it was very like bright and in your face and like very bold, you know, which I think makes a lot of sense, because if you're looking at a song like Babylon, you know, the song is essentially, you know, like what she said in the beginning message, the song represents, you know, you battling for your life, you know, you really just kind of like trudging through and, you know, overcoming whatever adversity you're experiencing. And Free Woman is obviously, you know, it goes in tandem with that, you know, speaking from, you know, a woman who, you know, it's like traditionally, you know, if you look at these weird like red pill people, you know, they look down at women, you know, women are supposed to be subservient, they're supposed to be a certain way, right? But the truth of the matter is that womanhood, to me, you know, as a gay man, you know, it's all about individuality and just like being gay, you know, it's about self-expression, you know, individuality and self-expression and strength, empowerment, you know, those go in tandem for me, you know, being a strong woman, being a strong gay man, or a strong, you know, gay woman, or, you know, a strong, you know, non-identifying individual, you know, if you go by they, them pronouns, all of that is literally you know, embracing and strengthening your individuality, who you are as a person. And who you are as a person should never be defined by anybody else but you. So that's why I really, really, really appreciated the imagery and the message of the third act in particular, because it really drew home, you know, the sense of freedom and individuality and just, you know, being yourself and just living your fucking truth. Seriously. Because why? Because you were born this way, damn it. That's why. So from there, Act 4, we get into, let me see, Shallow. She performed Shallow. Obviously, an incredible fucking song. I love A Star Is Born. I think that her performance and Bradley Cooper, quite frankly, in A Star Is Born is just, it's on a whole other level. Like, to me, A Star Is Born is like a zeitgeist movie. Like, that movie is just like, it was so powerful when it came out. Like, I went to the theater to see that movie like 4 times, and then, you know, when it came out on DVD, like, I'm somebody who's very particular. Like, I still do collect physical media, so I'm like very particular to the things that I purchase and like physically and collect, you know. And A Star Is Born is something that I wanted to own physically. I didn't just want to own it digitally, you know, just like Chromatica, the album. You know, like I wanted to own the physical CD. Like, I didn't just, do I have it in? I have it in here. I have it in my living room by my stereo. I've got my other Gaga stuff. Let me see. What do I have? I've got my Born This Way single with the remixes, and I've got Art Pop here. Justice for Art Pop, damn it. She didn't perform anything from Art Pop, but that's okay. It's all good. Art Pop! Anyway. So Shallow and Always Remember Us This Way are incredible songs. Always Remember Us This Way is probably my favorite fucking song from A Star Is Born, to be honest. I don't know. I really connect with that song, and the way that she sings it, specifically the scene in the movie where she sings that song. It just, I mean, I don't know. I've watched that scene like hundreds of times probably, because it's just, I don't know, it's amazing. Edge of Glory, she performed, you know, a piano acoustic version of, which, I mean, I can listen to her perform Edge of Glory, I mean, till the end of time. I mean, that song is just fucking legendary to me. 1,000 Doves is where, you know, she got like super emotional, and she was talking about, you know, she was really going through something, and, you know, she was, you know, chain smoking cigarettes and, you know, fucking, you know, driving herself crazy and shit. And she utilized all that energy to, you know, go into her studio in her basement, and wrote that song. So, hey, a lot of your best art comes out of your deepest, darkest pain, right? Artists understand. Fun Tonight, she kind of made like a really funny joke about how, you know, Fun Tonight, she was dedicating that song to all the people that were, you know, that might be out there at the concert with somebody who wasn't necessarily creating the best time for you. Like, if you're with kind of like a Debbie Downer, you know, at the concert tonight, well, this song is for you. So I thought that was pretty funny. And I Enigma, obviously, you know, Enigma's so fucking good. Like, the beat of Enigma, like, I find myself when I'm driving in my car to like go get fucking groceries or something, just like jamming to Enigma, like, I'll be your Enigma. Like, oh god. I'm like, excuse my throat. Like, my voice is terrible right now. Anyway, I'm not gonna further embarrass myself. And then that brings us to the finale, where she performed Stupid Love and Rain on Me. And funny enough, when, like, I don't know if this was something that they were doing intentionally, but when she sang Rain on Me, like, we started feeling like if it was raining. So I don't know if like, if the ballpark at Wrigley Field, I don't know if they like intentionally like missed you with some shit or whatever, or if it was like a fucking zeitgeist moment. But when she sang Rain on Me, we like started feeling like rain droplets, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, is this the universe like coming together? Like, we're having this moment, and she's just like singing Rain on Me, and I'm feeling like water droplets, and it's not necessarily people spitting on you. You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know if it was an intentional thing or whatever, but it was kind of cool. And then brings me to why I was, you know, almost about to bawl my eyes out earlier. Her encore with Hold My Hand. This one was actually kind of funny because, you know, the encore, and I didn't understand why people kind of like, they weren't clued in that this was going to happen. But after Rain on Me was done, like, there were a lot of people that were leaving, and then we're all just sitting there like, Y'all serious? Like, have y'all not been to like a concert before? Like, there is usually an encore. Like, the show's not over, people. And then she comes back out, you know, the music starts and things, and then you see the rush of people that left. They're now coming back in droves, like, oh my god, the concert's not over. And it's like, no, dude, there's a whole encore. Like, welcome back, we missed you. And then, you know, and then after that, and then she did like this cute like mini tribute to Michael Jackson. When she was exiting the stage, she was the last one to exit the stage, and she kind of goes into like this big light box, and then she does like a little, you know, Michael Jackson movement, and then, you know, puts up like her the extended like monster claw fingers that she has from like the Chromatica album imagery, and then that was it, and then it was over. And then you know, then we left, and then I came home, and I didn't get home until like after 1 a.m. and couldn't fucking go to sleep, and now I'm up recording this. Sleepless. Like, I'm literally, I haven't even really drank it here, but I'm literally drinking iced coffee out of like a beer glass. Like, excuse me, while I try to recover. From that experience and not really getting much sleep. But yeah, today is a day that I'm going to be spending recovering, looking back on my concert footage fondly, and going about my day. And I hope you all, you know, go about your days with just as much love, light, and happiness that I am going through mine. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I record Incredidrome episodes every Tuesday. Every Wednesday, I do episodes of Zaxomnia, which is kind of my space where I kind of like, you know, delve myself into like weird internet conspiracies and things, because I'm weird and like to watch weird shit on the internet. So if you're into that kind of thing, come back, subscribe, follow the channel, you know, turn on your notification bell so you can see cool weird shit that I put up here. I do weird, like, you know, little like reactions and commentary pieces, because it's what I like to do. And again, going along with the message of Lady Gaga, live your truest self, do what makes you happy, and this is what makes me happy. So thank you guys very much. Have a great rest of your day and your week, and live your best self. Love ya.